Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to properly draw trend lines on your chart. Okay, I'm going to show you how to set up your charts to make them look exactly like this. And when it comes to drawing a trend line, since you need 2 points to connect a trend line, I'm going to show you how to correctly identify these two anchors right here of the trend line to draw just a perfect trend line on any chart. Alright, so let's do this. Alright, what's up guys? It's Mark here at DynoTrading. Hope you had a fantastic trading week. And I got a bit of a special treat here for you. Alright, we're going to do something different here in this video. I'm going to show you how to implement a very simple, very easy, but very effective trendline trading strategy that you can deploy on any market, whether you trade stocks, futures, Forex, even options. I feel pretty good about saying that if you're one of those traders that likes to trade reversals, right? So you're the opposite of a trend trader, right? You're basically a counter trend trader, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's nothing wrong with being a counter trend trader if you do it carefully via trend lines. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to properly draw a trend line on what I call a T-bar chart. And keep in mind, in order to use this strategy effectively, you'll need to get your hands on some kind of price action chart style like the T-bars. Okay, so don't even bother wasting your time attempting this trend line trading strategy on this kind of bullcrap chart, right? These candlestick charts, these indicator charts. Let the other retail traders screw around here and try to figure it out, right? We're not them. We don't want to be them. And listen, there's a lot of them, right? So let them screw around and get chopped up in the market while you keep your eyes on the prize, waiting for a nice retracement so that you can draw trend lines. All right, let's get to it. So, as you know, in order to draw a trend line successfully, you need 2 points, right? What I call anchor 1 and anchor 2, and you simply connect those 2 anchors with a line. So, say you're watching your T-bar charts and you're waiting for a bit of a pullback in order to go long. Right? So you do have to have some type of bias, and there's many ways to figure out your bias, right? For you guys that are longtime subscribers, you could use the dyno charts to figure out your bias. You could use some other proprietary blend of your own strategy on figuring out your bias, but at the end of the day, you do have to have some sort of bias in order to properly draw these trend lines, okay? So just a few seconds ago, you heard me say we need 2 anchors. So let's go ahead and focus our attention on this sequence of price action right over here. And let's try to capture all of the anchors that we can. There's an anchor, there's an anchor, there's an anchor, right? So you can see that if we connected these anchors just like this, there's the first trend line. And let's connect these set of anchors like this. There's the second trend line. And before we go any further, let me quickly slap on some colors on these trend lines so they look nice, clean, and obvious to you so that there can be no dispute. These are, in fact, bullish trend lines. Now, here's the secret, all right? Here's the secret to really drilling down on a microscopic level and pinpointing to the exact tick how to get in on this trend line break, all right? So here's what you do. You actually duplicate this chart. Right? You right click over the instrument. You can see here duplicate in new tab. I'm just going to click that and the chart's been duplicated, right? So let's quickly identify that here on this chart so that you don't get confused. This is the smaller time frame chart, all right? And here's what you also have to do. Since we just said this is a smaller time frame chart, you got to dial down your speed settings, right? I like to use a multiple of 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number 40 here and I'm going to divide it by 4, which gives us 10. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, so do you get what I did there? Right, so here's the master chart. We have our higher time frame settings. It's a speed setting of 40. And now here's our slave chart, which now we have a speed setting of 10, but we have the master trend line on this slave chart. Do you get what I'm saying? So if we squish this in, let's just go ahead and try to find those trend lines. All right, here we go. Let's really zoom in here, okay? Just like this, okay? So there were only 2 master trend lines that were drawn in the smaller time frame chart, and you can see both of these here in the smaller time frame chart. Okay, so this one didn't break, so we might as well delete this one so that it's not taking up space in the chart. And guys, this is what you're left with here. right? And let me zoom in here and show you a really awesome technique that you can implement today, okay? And this is very simple, so pay attention here. If price closes above the master trend line, you can start to pay attention. If it closes below again the trend line, you basically turn it off, right? What I consider a concept called being armed, right? So you're armed over here and you're disarmed over here. That will keep you out of taking a lot of false signals. You get what I'm saying? And you can see the same thing happened over here. We were armed there, and then we were disarmed here. So this basically kept you out of taking several false signals to the long side, right? Now let's see what happened right over here, okay? We were armed on this close, and you can actually see while the price ticked below the trend line, there was no close below the trend line. So we were armed, and we stayed armed from this point on, right? So do you guys know what comes next? We are now going to draw slave trend lines based on the master trend line. I hope this is not too confusing, guys. If it is, just rewind this video a little bit and you'll see where I'm going with this, all right? So anyway, let me show you what comes next. Let me just quickly clean up all this charts here and remove these boxes since they're a bit distracting, okay? We're basically armed right over here. You would agree. Now what we want to do is we want to identify slave chart pivot points and once again draw slave trend lines with the condition that the price has to stay above the master trend line. Do you get what I'm saying? So if we are in this section right over here, well, here are the two pivot points, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and connect those two pivot points just like that, all right? And now the question is, where should your stop get placed? Well, your stop should technically get placed at the most recent swing low, which is the lowest low in between anchor 1 and anchor 2 of the slave trend line. Is this making sense, guys? I hope it is. It's not super complicated, right? You just simply find anchor 1, anchor 2. You just find the lowest point between these two anchors, and there it is right there. There would be a decent place to throw your stop, right? You always got to have a stop. And if we see how this trade played out, well, this thing took off like a rocket ship, right? Because you've seen this before. Once price breaks through any type of trend line like it did right over here on the master chart, there's no stopping it, right? Trend lines are the most powerful and effective trading strategy I've ever seen, okay? And you guys know from watching my videos, there are many, many different ways to draw trend lines on the chart and be ultra successful and crush retail traders who are trading stuff like that, right? That's the name of the game. I hate to break this to you, but trading is a zero-sum game, right? For every winner in trading, right? For every winning trader, there has to be a losing trader. That's just how it is. Okay, and same thing on the flip side, right? Say you're looking for shorts. Let's do the opposite. Okay, let me just quickly clean up this chart just like this, and let's do the opposite. So now say you're looking for shorts, right? Say you've identified an area to sell this market. Then what do? You capture your master pivot points just like this, right? You draw your trend line in this fashion like this. It has to be an upward sloping trend line because you're looking for shorts. And in fact, let's just go ahead and color that trend line red so that we know we're looking for shorts. And again, what do next? You duplicate this chart. Right click over here, duplicate it into a new tab, right click in your data series window, change the multiplier by 4, right? So take 40, divide by 4, you get 10, hit OK. Let's go ahead and find that section that we just drew. All right, here it is. We've located it right over here, and let's just zoom in and see what we're looking at. Okay, and here we go again, right? We're looking for the price to close below the master trend line that you just drew on your chart, okay, which happens right in this section over here. Okay, we then want to identify slave chart pivot points. There's one, and there's one. And then we want to connect those two as a trend line like this. And then we want to use the stop as the highest high between anchor 1 and anchor 2. So your stop would get placed right over here. And if we see how this trade played out, well, it was an absolute doozy, right? And if I jump back to the master chart, you can see that we got in on the master trend line break to the short side right over here for a huge winning trade, and the stop never got touched. Stop's all the way over here, right? So there you have it, guys. I've shown you a very effective and powerful way on how to properly draw trend lines on your chart, on any chart. I think this simple trend line trading strategy is going to be effective on any market, okay? And I would love to know your thoughts and your comments on trading trend lines and how you guys do it. If you guys have any tips and suggestions, please drop them in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so thanks guys for watching this video on how to draw trend lines. I hope you found it somewhat informative. If you have any questions on anything you've seen here, get in touch. And as always, best trading wishes.